Good, excuse me, good evening, everybody out there in the interweb. Sorry, I'm running a little bit behind. It's been a crazy week. I want to welcome all of you all to the Outpost. This is broadcast number three. So, for those of you who haven't been here before, welcome. And for those of you who have, welcome back. This is the Outpost, a show on the BGKH network. I am your host, Legionnaire, and I am going to be talking this week a little bit about SheHulk and also going to be giving some information, throwing some stuff out there that I've discovered that's going to be upcoming on the Disney MCU universe, things that have been released during D23. So if you're here, welcome. If Good to see you all. Hey, Dominion. Hey, how you doing, baby? Hey, what's up, Eccentric? Thank you all for hanging out with me. Just to kind of give you an update on what my week has been. It has been a whirlwind of change. I have had to move, um, which is a trial in and of itself. Scaled down a little bit, but ultimately it is going to be good for my soul, good for my well-being, good for my mental health, good for my physical health. So got all that taken care of, and I actually celebrated a birthday. Yay! My birthday was just this past Monday. Um, how old I am is none of your damn business, unless we're sleeping together. So yeah, that part. No, but seriously, I had a really great birthday. Didn't really do a whole lot. Just took some personal time to myself. I did actually work that day, but I did some things for myself. Um, yes, thank you, Eccentric. And yeah, it was a pretty good day. Yes, Demian, I finally turned 21. Bless my youthful heart. Absolutely. I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. But yeah, ultimately it was a good day. Like I said, I did move, so I did a lot of unpacking and rearranging. The one thing that I will say that moving did is gave me the opportunity and forced me to purge. And that's always a good thing because you never know how much stuff you have piled up, stockpiled, hidden away, tucked away until you move. And I had clothes that were hanging in my closet that had been there since the day I moved into my old place. So we're talking clothes I haven't looked at in about 10 years. Yeah. And with a lot of the challenges that I experienced during COVID, um, those are clothes that are never going to fit again, that I'm never going to wear again, that I'm never going to look at again. So all those things were gathered up, purged, donated, and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be new beginnings, new challenges, and I am happy. So right now we are going to talk about She-Hulk, episode 5, titled "Mean Green and Poured into Those Jeans," which aired today on Disney Plus. I will say that this episode gave me everything I needed. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to get into a lot of stuff that happened, and it's going to not be spoiler free. So, if you don't want to know what happened, then please feel free to tune out because I'm going to be talking about it in some great detail. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, let's get into it. We open up the show with an ad for SheHulk, SheHulk beauty products that is created by Titania. Now, remember from the last episode, Jennifer was served with a summons from Titania saying that she claimed and trademarked the name. All right, Don, come on back when you're ready. And she was going to sue her for the use of the name because she trademarked it, which was kind of messed up because she's been out there using the name, and Jen is driving around having seen Titania in ads on billboards. She's been sponsoring different podcasts and things like that. So Titania, Mary McFerrin, also known as Mary McFerrin, has been out there using the name She-Hulk as an influencer. She's been out there doing her thing, and she has like a pop-up She has a pop-up shop somewhere where she's selling and hawking all of her beauty wares and things like that. So she's got a huge following out there. And so we get the title card, which is a little different this week. Is She-Hulk by Titania instead of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which was cute and a little funny little moment. So at the back at home, Ched charges in and breaks into Jen's place because he has been selling products online that are going to have She-Hulk's signature. So he's thinking, yeah, he's gonna make a little cash. So he goes to Jen's house, say, hey, I got all this stuff that I'm gonna be making some money. I'm gonna help you with your business venture. I'm gonna get this stuff signed. And she's like, no, that's not me. That's somebody else using my name or using the She-Hulk name. And no, this is not me. So I'm not signing anything. This is not anything to do with me. This is about somebody else. So Chad is just he's incredulous. It's like, what? What? Wait, you didn't trademark your name? And she was like, well, I didn't think I had to. So he explains to her that she who trademarks it gets it. And which was funny because okay, as a lawyer, Jennifer certainly understands that. So it was weird that he felt like he had to break that down to her. But it wasn't something that she thought of at the time. It wasn't something that she thought she would have to contend with, of course. So, she didn't do it at the time. The media dubbed her She-Hulk and she kind of ran with it. So that's what she's been doing. They go to the pop-up. She and Nikki go to the pop-up and they're going to try and let Titania know that, hey, girl, you can't use this name anymore. It's my name. What you're doing, you need to stop. Seeing all of her products and things like that. They're laughing at beauty cream, beauty oil, all these beauty products that are essentially snake oil, as a joke that she drops out there. So they let Titania know, it's like, hey, girl, you can't use this name. And she's like, I trademarked the name, so yeah, I can. So yeah, you can't. There's nothing you can do right now. So they leave, take off, go back to the office, and Jen is basically hating on the fact that she's using the She-Hulk name. And Nikki, then we switch to having a scene with Nikki and Pug because Nikki understands that, hey, girl, you need to juice up your wardrobe. Something that she mentioned last episode, but she's bringing up again. She wants her to do something about her wardrobe. There's a scene between her and Pug where Pug wants to have her go with him because he wants to get some sneakers that are going to be dropping soon, the Iron Man 3. So of course, in situations like these, there's only one per customer. So he's thinking that if he can get Nikki to go with him, he can get two pair. She'll get one, he'll get one. So he'll have a pair to wear and he'll have a pair to keep because he's a collector. You gotta like that nerd thing when people want to collect shit like that. So they make the deal and she's gonna help him out, but he needs to get her a hookup that'll help her find somebody that can get Jen a new wardrobe, help her juice up her wardrobe. So they decide to go to this place, Cafe Boba, which is a front for a place that is supposed to have like superhero clothes, is what they're thinking. So after they go through this whole back and forth with the guy that's working at the store, he lets them in. And basically, it turns out to be a whole bunch of knockoff stuff that he's selling in the back of his store. All kinds of toys and shirts and cups and things like that, but they're knockoffs. So they don't say Avengers. There's a shirt that says Avengers, and then there's Avengers that's spelled with an I. Plastic hammers, plastic cap shield. So they're like, yeah, this is not exactly what we're looking for. What we need clothes for a superhero. So if you don't have it here, I'm sure you know where we can get it. So he finally shares with them that, hey, I'll get you that connect, but they have to buy some of his products. So they buy some Avengers t-shirts, caps and whatnot. And so they get the hookup to Luke, who is a person who, who clothes the superheroes. Um, so at first he's like, well, who sent you here? Who's your connect? Who recommended you or whatever. Um, so they drop She-Hulk's name and says that she's an Avenger. So of course he's like, oh, okay, she's an Avenger superhero. Yeah, okay. They make an appointment. Hey, my person will call you. She gets a 15-minute consult. Show up and we'll hook her up. So we're all good there. Back at the law firm, Holloway is having a conversation with Jen where he's looking at these ads put out by Titania and letting her know that, hey, this is what we've been seeing and it's kind of concerning. Um, so Jen starts explaining, how she got the name and all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, you know what? I don't care about all that. What I do care about is that, we have somebody that's in charge of our superhero division at this law firm. And, there's this mess out there that you all are not taking care of. So we need to be a firm that'll take care of this mess and get it handled. So Jen's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna get it under control. I'm gonna take care of it. He's like, no, not you. And this is where we get a full introduction to Mallory Book, who in the comic books is kind of a foil for Jen at the law firm. But they eventually end up some having some sort of connection and some sort of friendship. But they definitely introduce her in that same sort of adversarial role here. She's like, okay, I'm helping you because we work together, we're workmates, and it's my job to make sure that you get taken care of. Played by the amazing Renee Elise Goldsberry. I love her as an actress. So we got that sneak peek of her a couple episodes ago. So now we get to see her full on Mallory Book, which was great. So yeah, it was really, really, really cool. So they decide that they're going to the crux of their case is going to be that Jennifer was using the name first, and that's going to be their claim to say, hey, she was using the name first, and what's happening here is that Titania is taking advantage of the name recognition to trademark the name and hawk her wares. So that's what they're going to do to go ahead and see if they can snatch that name back or whatever. So they go to court, and I love this line. Titania is being snarky and says, "Oh, nice suit, Shrek," which I thought was pretty cute and pretty funny. So yeah, they state their case saying that, hey, Jennifer Walters was using this name first. She didn't decide that she wanted to use it until it was already out there. Somebody else was using this, so she's trademarking it in order to use name recognition again to hawk her beauty products. So yeah, so the lawyer, so her Titania's lawyer was like, well, hey, she didn't want to be called She-Hulk, and he plays this footage where they were first interviewing her, and she was like, no, don't call me She-Hulk. I'm Jennifer Walters. I will never be known as She-Hulk, blah, blah, blah. And then say, hey, see, she didn't want the name. She didn't claim it. So she hasn't been using it. She didn't want it. So that's how that's going to be, that was their argument. But then, yeah, but it's like, no, but she's been out there using it. She's like, I am She-Hulk. And then Mallory shows the interview of after she won the case with Emil Blonsky, where she states emphatically, I am now and forever She-Hulk. I was dubbed that by the media. She's embracing the name. It's all good. I am She-Hulk. So the judge was like, okay, but that was one instance. Are there other times or other places, that she's been using that name before she decided to trademark it? Has it been out there as her identity before now? So that's what they got to find out. She's like, yeah. So Mallory's got something up her sleeve. So we switch back to Luke's, where Jennifer has her consultation with Luke. And he has a funny line. He was like, oh my God, is the Hag convention in town? Looking at Jennifer's drab gray suit, which she's been wearing since day one. So hopefully they will come up with something that she can wear besides that gray suit when she's in court. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, they name dropped the Hulk, saying, hey, you need to go ahead and work with her, do her thing, get her set up, get her hooked up. So he's like, wait a minute, you said she was an Avenger. He's like, no, she's gonna be an Avenger. We're just working out the details. Her cousin is the Hulk, and he was like, blood related. She's like, yeah, yeah, blood relative. Yeah, you hook her up, and that's a feather in your cap. And he was like, okay, okay. Back at the law firm, it turns out that Todd, one of Jennifer's or one of She-Hulk's first dates that she has on Matcher, the dating app, is also a client of Mallory's. So he's intimating that he wants to hook up with Jen again. Jen is kind of like, yeah, I didn't want to be bothered with you at first, and now here you are popping up again. So Todd looks like somebody that's probably going to pop up here and there in the series. So we'll have to see what happens with that dude. After we leave there, we're in the scene with Jen and Nikki where they're talking about her dating experience with Matcher, and then Jen realizes that, hey, she created a profile as She-Hulk, and that's the name that she used on the app, and that's how she's been setting up these dates. So she figures that's a way that she can establish that is her identity, something that she established and set up before Titania decided to try and trademark that name. So they have to now go and get all those guys that she had these dates with and bring them into court to say, yes, we met up and had dates with She-Hulk, not necessarily Jen Walters. So they parade all these guys that we saw during the dating montage in the prior episode. And one thing that I didn't realize that it took me a minute to recognize was that the first guy, the muscle dude, it turns out that he is David Otunga. Now, I don't know for all of those folks out here who are into reality TV shows and things like that, but he was a contestant for I Love New York. And for those who don't know, New York was this girl who was actually a participant in Flavor of Love, which was these bunch of girls who was trying to be the next Lady Love for Flavor Flav. And New York was on the first season, and she also was on the second season because she didn't get chose the first time. So she came back for the second season, and unfortunately, poor thing didn't get chose again. So VH1 in their infinite wisdom decided to give her own show because of her big personality or whatever. So she had a similar show that actually ran 2 seasons. And yeah, this guy, David Otunga, his nickname was Punk, if I remember correctly. So yeah, he was one of the competitors and stuff. And then he went on to do, he went on to do wrestling, and he was actually involved with Jennifer Hudson for a while. I think they were engaged. I don't think they got married, but I think they were engaged and have a child together, I think. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But I think that's what happened. I mean, they're no longer together now. But yeah, I recognized who he was, so that was kind of cool. And of course, we have Todd, one of Mallory's clients, that comes back and explains that he met She-Hulk. We have the creepy guy from New York, and then we have the hot doctor who claims, who relates his date with Jen, and how he found her exciting and interesting, and regaled tales of her going on and fighting off demons and stuff. So they had an encounter and things like that. And there's a moment where they ask him, if she had presented as Jen, would he have gone out with her? And he says no, because she's not his type. But She-Hulk was his type, which was kind of cringy, because they're essentially, both the same person, but the outward presentation, of course, is different. So it was like, well, damn, you only liked her when she was big and green, but didn't feel her in her quote unquote normal identity as Jennifer Walters. But it did establish that Jennifer has been using the name She-Hulk, and the judge decides that, hey, she's going to rule in her favor. So Titania has to pull all of her products that has SheHulk. She has a cease and desist using that name. It's Jen's. They won. Great. Finds in her favor. Um, so Jen, they're leaving the courtroom, and Jen decides that maybe she needs some therapy, which makes sense because she's got to get a handle on this dual identity thing and how she's gonna integrate that into her life, because she has her um, identity as Jen Walters, and she also has her identity as She-Hulk, because initially she views She-Hulk as something that happened to her, not necessarily something that is her or something that she identifies with. And I think she's going to have to rethink that a little bit, um, because she has to practice law at the law firm as She-Hulk. So she's going to have to find a way to kind of reconcile those two aspects of herself so that she can be a fully realized person moving forward, which made sense, which I was kind of cool that they had a moment like that for her. Um, Jen and Mallory go and have some cocktails. She invites her to have a drink. They're talking about their commonalities of moving through life as a woman, which I think was a cool moment. Jen thought that they were having some female bonding where they can become friends, and Mallory kind of gave her a side eye, like, "Yeah, girl, we're having a moment here, celebrating the win, but I don't know if I'm going to call us good Judies quite yet." Um, but it's cool. I mean, they had a moment, and it definitely establishes that they're going to be in contact and they're work colleagues, and they're going to have at least a friendly relationship, if not necessarily a friendship. Um, so Mallory makes an off comment about her clothes, and girl, I thought she was going to get some more clothes and better clothes, because of course she's still wearing that gray suit, and of course we get a break the fourth wall moment for Jen's, like, oh yeah. Goes back to Luke's. Luke is providing her with some information. I mean, with some clothes and a little something extra he's giving to her, which we think, or at least it's intimated, is going to be her fighting togs as a superhero. So that's going to be exciting to see, um, if that shows up or when that shows up, because it's definitely going to happen. And we close out the episode um, with him taking a box that's sitting on the counter, and him telling his assistant Tinsley, "Hey, you got this exposed box here. What happened to confidentiality? We got to box this up because the clients come to pick this up." And we in the audience get a peek into the box, and it is the cowl of none other than Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. Now, the interesting thing about this is that when the character was originally created, he didn't wear the red suit that he wears now. He started out wearing yellow. His uniform or his costume was yellow and brown or yellow and red. And so it looks like they're going back to that color scheme for his upcoming appearance, because we've known that at some point she's going to see Daredevil, or Daredevil is going to appear in the show. But this definitely teased it, definitely confirms it. We're going to see Matt Murdock, we're going to see Daredevil, and that's how the show wraps up. So that was pretty exciting. The only thing the one thing that did stand out is that in this particular episode, there was no mid-credit, there was no mid-credit scene. But what we did get is, they have those little cartoon and little art pieces that pop up through the episode and through the credits. And one of the things that was really interesting was there was one that popped up that showed Pug with his his Iron Man 3 gym shoes. And on the wall, there were other gym shoes that were on that wall. And if you stop and look closely, there were shoes that represented a number of superheroes in the MCU, not only those that are existing, but those that may be upcoming. I noticed Captain America. I noticed Deadpool, who we know is going to be coming into the MCU proper. There was Thor. Um, there was Spider-Man, there was Cyclops, which definitely let us know that mutants are coming into, definitely gave us at least a clue that we're going to be seeing mutants into the MCU, certainly the X-Men. So that was kind of cool and exciting to witness. So yeah, if you guys rewatch the episode, do a little stop of that scene and see if you can identify all the different gym shoes. I had them all written down, but I misplaced my piece of paper. I was going to run them all down, but it's definitely out there. So definitely check it out. It was really cool. It definitely gave me a geek moment since we didn't get the post-credit scene for this episode. So yeah, that's it for She-Hulk. Looking forward to next week. It was another good episode. Last week's episode was kind of okay for me, but this one kind of did an upswing because we finally got to see Titania. The whole court case with her getting the name back was really fun. It was kind of predictable in terms of we knew that she was going to get it back somehow. It was just a question of how. But it was cool to see, and I was glad that we had that scene. We definitely haven't seen the last of Titania because she's not going to take this lost land down. So we will definitely see her again. I love Jamila Jamil. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what we're going to see with her. So last thing I want to just touch on for this edition of the Outpost is some information that I got, or at least I've been seeing around regarding the D23 convention. That's the Disney Plus presentation. And of course, they had a Marvel presentation of all the upcoming things that are going to be happening in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they had some really exciting things that were shared. Of course, us regular people don't get to see it. You had to actually be there. But they reported on a lot of things that were really interesting. So a couple of things that I noted coming up is Werewolf by Night, which is going to be kind of like a Halloween type special. And Werewolf by Night is the story of Jack Russell, a guy who is cursed with being a werewolf. And the trailer actually is online if you want to go check it out. It's in black and white, has some really creepy music behind it. It has, it looks like, because I didn't watch it closely, but if I'm not mistaken, it looked like that we are also going to get another MCU character introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe of Man-Thing. Now, for those of you who don't know who Man-Thing is the alter ego of a guy named Ted Sallis, who gets killed in a swamp and becomes this really bizarre creature called Man-Thing, which is similar to Swamp Thing in a lot of ways for the distinguished competition. But Man-Thing is this, this creature that doesn't talk, that only reacts to strong emotions, and he's the guardian of this area of the Florida Everglades called the Nexus of All Realities. So for those of us who geek out on things like that, that definitely showed up in that trailer. So I'm looking forward to that. Another announcement that came through was that the upcoming Fantastic Four movie has a director, Matt Shakman. And Matt Shakman worked on WandaVision, which was one of the first shows that showed up on Disney Plus. So his work there was pretty good. So that was pretty exciting of an announcement. So now the big thing is like, now that we have a director, who are we going to get in these roles? So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll find out sooner than later who's going to be playing our fabulous quartet. So that should be exciting. Another announcement that came through that caught my attention was Captain America, the next Captain America movie, which of course is going to star, I can't think of his name. Lord have mercy. Anthony Mackie. Oh my goodness, forgive me. Anthony Mackie as Captain America. He is going to be in the next Captain America movie called New World Order. And one of the really cool things that showed up um, in the announcement was that they're going to be bringing in um, the guy, I can't think of his name, forgive me, but the guy that played Sam Stearns in the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. Now, if you saw that movie, you'll remember that Sam Stearns was the scientist that was going to help Bruce Banner cure himself of the Hulk. And there was an accident where he was cut and some of Bruce's blood dripped into the cut on his head. Now, for those of us that read comics, Sam Stern is the character that becomes the leader. Exactly, Dominion, the leader. And the leader is going to be in Captain America New World Order. So they are linking those two movies together. They kind of loosely said that this was, the Incredible Hulk was part of the MCU, but never really had a direct tie to it, because of the change between Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo. They referenced it in She-Hulk, where where Bruce Banner talks about how he was a different person and he's forgiven Emil Blonsky and whatever. But yeah, that was really cool. I was really excited to see that. Apparently, the leader is going to be one of the antagonists in this movie, along with some other people. So it's going to be really exciting to see. And I love what they're going to do with Sam Wilson as Captain America. So that's going to be really cool to see. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to get a Loki season 2. That was a really weird and quirky show. So I'm glad that that has been officially announced. They had the cast show up. They're filming in London, I think, but they actually came in for the convention to make the announcement and talk about, what they're doing with the show. And then they had to fly right back out. At least that's the story that's told. But we are getting a Loki season 2. We're going to get more of the Time Variance Authority, which I thought was really cool, really interesting. Something that popped in and out of the comic books. So that's going to be really great. That's exciting. They talked a little bit about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which is going to give us a full-on introduction to Kang, whose character was first introduced at the end, towards the end of Loki. So we're going to really get a full-on introduction as Kang the Conqueror in Quantumania, and then of course Phase 5 will be, this character Kang. It's going to be his arc throughout the movies, and we're going to eventually get Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. So we'll be seeing more of that character. Jonathan Majors is playing Kang, and so he's becoming a really cool villain in the Marvel universe. So I'm very excited to see what they do with it. Yeah, Centric. I like Loki too. It was not what I expected in the show, but it was weird and odd enough that I really, really got into it. I really, really got into it. A couple of other announcements that they made was Secret Invasion. That's going to be bringing back the character of Nick Fury. So we're going to see Samuel L. Jackson in that role again. We're going to see Maria Hill again. And Secret Invasion is based on a story in Marvel Comics where the Skrulls infiltrated Earth society. They kidnapped a whole bunch of Earth heroes and replaced them with Skrulls. And in the comics, this had been something that's happened over a stretch of years. So you had all these different heroes that were replaced by Skrulls, and it gets discovered. And there's this whole arc where their plot is discovered. They have to uncover all the Skrulls and find out that these kidnapped heroes have been gone for years, and they have to integrate them back into society and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Damien, that's a good question. Is that Nick Fury or Skrull? We don't know yet. We're not sure yet. But the idea is that at the end of Ms. Marvel, I think, at some point he ends up in outer space and working with the Skrulls that were in that particular movie. Now, whether or not the Nick Fury we see as a Skrull or not, we don't know. We don't know. We'll just have to see what gets revealed. It could be. It could very well be. I trust them to do some fun and creative things with it. So it's going to be really cool to see. It was a very popular storyline. They even tried to go back to it a couple of times. Um, so yeah, it was really cool. And the last thing that caught my attention, which kind of wrapped up a lot of the announcements, and is supposed to be kind of the closeout for what is going to be Phase 5 of the MCU, is the introduction of the Thunderbolts. And the Thunderbolts started out as a group of villains led by Baron Zemo, who recreated himself as Citizen V, and he took on all these villains that he, reimagined and recrafted and re-identified as heroes. There was a storyline called the Onslaught Saga, where Onslaught took a whole bunch of heroes to another dimension. Everybody thought that they were dead, and the Thunderbolts popped up to kind of fill in the gaps. But basically, it was initially started out with Baron Zemo taking advantage of the situation of them being gone to kind of create this illusion of these heroes that were going to take over and do all these great things. So you had Zemo, who was Citizen V. You had Songbird, who used to be a character called Screaming Mimi, Moonstone, who reinvented herself as Meteorite, and a bunch of others that I can't name off the top of my head. But of course, for the MCU, was going to be reimagined with a bunch of sort of misfit anti-heroes. So in this group, we're going to have U.S. Agent, who was in, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to have U.S. Agent. We're going to have Winter Soldier. We're going to have Yelena Belova, who is the new Black Widow, who we saw in the Black Widow movie. We're going to have Ghost, who we saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Let's see, who else did I note there? There was 6 altogether. See what happens when you don't take notes. I should have wrote all this stuff down, and then I would know for sure what I'm talking about. But it was definitely an interesting announcement. Wasn't quite the lineup I would have wanted. I would have wanted something closer to what's in the comics, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's still going to be a lot of fun. It's something that's going to supposedly going to close out the Phase 5, and yeah, those are the highlights of the things that at least caught my interest in the upcoming goings on in the MCU. One note. Oh, okay. Thank you, Demeen. I'm going to make a note of that and do that myself. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I got this week. Other things that are coming up for me. I am looking forward to going to Florida in the beginning of October. I'm going to be celebrating 27 years of brotherhood and leather with my family of Onyx. We're going to be celebrating 27 years out there in the community, doing stuff, representing, and we're going to have a fun time. So I'm doing my own little personal countdown. I'm looking forward to that. And between now and then, I'm going to be settling into my new digs and, setting up setting up my new space and getting settled in. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for listening to my rants and raves for another week. I definitely do appreciate you being here. Definitely love that you're taking the time to listen to me. Definitely love you guys who are supporting my efforts here with BGKH. Definitely subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the show, tell your friends about it. If there's stuff that you want to hear from me about, have me talk about. Right now I'm doing reviews of SheHulk. I'm probably going to do reviews of other things. I'm also going to, at some point, bring on guests. Right now I'm kind of getting my feet wet, kind of tweaking things here and there so that I can get the show off the ground. So definitely be patient, hang in there with me. It's only going to be up from here. It's only going to get better. But again, thank you for taking the time to listen, checking me out. See you guys next week. Check out BGKH with Epic and Dominion. Check out the Outpost with Legionnaire, and we will see you all next week. Peace.